Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple. Come in and settle yourself. There is no need for formality here, only a comfortable space for you to rest your awareness. The journey we begin today is a long and gentle one, a deep exploration not of secret powers, but of a quiet, innate ability we all possess yet seldom nurture, the capacity to understand the unspoken language of the human heart. This is not a skill of forceful extraction, but of serene reception. It is rooted in the ancient, timeless wisdom of Buddhism, in the Buddha's own teachings on mindfulness and clear comprehension. To truly hear what is communicated beyond words, we must first learn to quiet the internal noise. Imagine your mind as a vast, open sky. Thoughts and worries pass through like clouds, some dark, some light, all transient. Our practice is not to fight the clouds, but to find the boundless, clear blue sky that exists behind and between them. That clear sky is your presence. From that expansive stillness, you can observe the subtle weather patterns in others. Let me begin with a personal story from my early days of training. I was assigned to assist an elderly visiting sage who was nearly silent. My task was simple, to serve his tea and observe. For the first week, I was preoccupied with doing everything perfectly, the temperature of the water, the alignment of the cup, the silence of my movements. My mind was a checklist. One afternoon, as I placed his cup before him, my sleeve barely brushed a dried leaf on the stone table. It made the faintest scratch, a whisper of sound. I froze, internally chastising myself for the imperfection. The sage did not move for a long moment. Then, he slowly reached out and picked up the very leaf I had disturbed. He held it in his palm, his clouded eyes seeming to see its every vein. A smile, softer than dawn, touched his lips. He then placed the leaf gently into the cup of tea I had just poured. He looked at me, not with criticism, but with an expression of profound sharing. In that moment, I understood. My mind had been so consumed by the idea of perfect service that I was blind to the service itself, the shared moment, the beauty of the leaf, the offering of tea. He was not drinking tea, he was communing with the entirety of the experience, leaf and all. He had read my frantic, self-critical mind not through mystery, but because my inner turmoil was a loud, static signal drowning out the present. To understand others, I first had to learn to be present enough to understand the situation I was already in. This leads us to our first, most fundamental principle, the art of anchoring in the now. The Buddha taught that the past is a memory, the future an imagination, and that true life exists only in the present moment. This is not a philosophy of escapism, but of profound engagement. When you are fully here, your perceptions are not filtered through the lens of yesterday's argument or tomorrow's anxiety. You become a clean mirror. This is the prerequisite for everything else. Your calm awareness becomes the still pond that can accurately reflect the moon of another's state of being. Now, I would like to share a new story, one that illustrates this anchor of presence. It is called the Stonecutter's True Measure. In a valley between two mountains, there lived a stonecutter renowned for his speed. He could split 100 stones in a day. A monastery being built on the cliff above hired him to cut foundation blocks. The head monk, a serene old woman, would descend each afternoon to inspect his work. The stonecutter, proud, would point to his growing piles. The monk would say nothing, merely running her hand over the faces of the cut stones. After 3 days, she spoke. "Your stones are plentiful, but they are blind." Puzzled and insulted, the stonecutter demanded to know what she meant. "The grain of the rock," she said. You are cutting against it. You use force where you should use perception. The stress is hidden inside. A foundation of such stones will hold a building, but it will sing with tension. It will not know peace. She asked him to perform a simple, maddening task. For the next day, he was to take a single, large stone. He was not to cut it. He was only to sit with it, in the sun and the shade, and observe it. He was to note where lichen grew thickest, the damp side, where the sun warmed it longest, the southern face, where its natural fissures ran. Frustrated but compliant, he did so. At first, he fidgeted, his mind on lost wages. But as hours passed, his resistance faded. He began to truly see the stone. He saw a delicate quartz vein he would have shattered. He saw a fossil imprint, an ancient shell, telling a story of when the mountain was seafloor. He saw the direction of the grain, not as an obstacle, but as a map. The next day, with the monk watching, he placed his chisel not where he wanted to cut, but where the stone's own map suggested. With a single, resonant strike, the stone cleaved perfectly along its hidden plane, revealing a face as smooth as glass. The effort was minimal. The result was profound. The stonecutter looked at his hands, then at the monk. She nodded. You have learned to listen to the stone before asking it to change shape. The stone spoke its truth through its lichen, its warmth, its grain. You were finally present enough to hear it. Now, she said, apply this to the people you meet. Their habits are their lichen. Their joys are their warm faces. Their pains are their hidden fissures. Listen to that map before you engage. A foundation built on such understanding holds a peace that lasts for ages. The stonecutter became the monastery's most valued builder, not for his speed, but for his profound, present-moment understanding of his material. He learned that true strength lies in aligned perception, not in force. This temple is a space for cultivating such understanding. If these reflections and stories resonate with you, if you feel a call towards this calmer, deeper way of perceiving, I gently invite you to subscribe to Monk's Moon Temple. By subscribing, you nurture this garden of contemplative wisdom, ensuring these gentle lessons continue to find their way to you, like seeds carried on a mindful wind. Your presence here is a valued part of our community. Shall we continue to the next part of our journey? Let us now turn our attention from the foundation of inner stillness to the first and most luminous gateway of understanding others, the language of the eyes. In the Buddha's teachings, the faculty of sight is intimately linked with insight. To see clearly is to understand. The eyes are often described as windows, but I invite you to consider them as still pools of water reflecting the endless sky of consciousness. When your own inner sky is clouded with thought, the reflection in another's eyes will be distorted. But when you are present and calm, you can gaze into those pools and perceive the true weather within, whether it is calm sunlight, gathering storms, or the gentle drizzle of sadness. The eyes are silent broadcasters of continuous truth. A steady, soft gaze that rests upon you is a gift of presence. It says, I am here with you in this shared moment. Conversely, eyes that dart and flicker like startled minnows are often tracing the contours of an internal escape route. The person may be physically present, but their awareness is searching for an exit from the conversation, from a feeling, or from a truth they wish to avoid. This is not an accusation of deceit, but an observation of a mind not at rest. I recall a time, many years ago, when a government official visited our remote temple. He came with a delegation, speaking of grand grants and restoration projects for our old halls. His words were polished, promising. But as he spoke of generosity and preservation, his eyes performed a different dance. They never settled. They scanned the fading murals on our walls not with reverence, but with an assessor's cold calculation. They flicked to his aide's notepad, to his watch, to the door. His pupils were constricted, tiny pinpricks in a sea of blue-gray. In the subtle physiology of emotion, constricted pupils can speak of a mind that is calculating, defensive, or recoiling from what is before it. I served tea and remained quiet. When I finally asked a simple question, what in your own life feels most in need of restoration? His entire ocular landscape changed. For a fleeting second, his eyes glazed, looking inward. The frantic movement stopped. Then, he blinked, the shutters came down, and he resumed his official speech. The eyes had revealed a crack in the facade, a momentary touch upon a personal truth that his official narrative was built to obscure. He was not a liar, he was a man whose public role had become a cage, and his eyes betrayed his confinement. But the eyes do not work in isolation. They are framed by the brows, the delicate penance of feeling. A single brow arched in a gentle curve is a silent question. Two brows drawn together in a furrow create a valley of concern, deep thought, or confusion. A brow lifted high in surprise momentarily erases the lines of the forehead, revealing a mind caught off guard, momentarily open and unscripted. I remember teaching a young child in the village who was terrified of reading aloud. When called upon, her eyes would widen, but her brows would knot together so fiercely they almost touched. It was not the look of someone who didn't know the words. It was the look of someone bracing for a blow. One day, instead of pressing her, I had her simply trace the characters on the page with her finger, not speaking them. As she traced the beautiful, ancient shapes, her knotted brows began to soften, to unravel. The fear smoothed away, replaced by the quiet curiosity of touch. Her brow told me more about her inner experience than her stumbling words ever could. There is also the canvas of the eye itself, the sclera, the white. A network of fine red lines is often a map of a weary journey, sleepless nights, prolonged stress, or unshed tears. But this, too, must be read with compassionate context, not cold diagnosis. I once met a fisherman on a pier at dawn, his eyes webbed with red. A hurried judgment might see illness or distress. I sat with him, sharing the silence of the waking harbor. He spoke of his son, who had just become a father. I held the baby all night, he said, his voice rough with emotion. I wanted to give my daughter-in-law a rest. My eyes are tired, but my heart has never been more awake. The redness was not a flag of suffering, but a badge of vigilant, loving joy. So we learn, first, cultivate your own inner stillness. Then, with gentle attention, observe the ocular landscape, the steadiness or flight of the gaze, the dilation or contraction of the pupils, the language of the brows, the story in the whites. You are learning to listen with a softer, more receptive form of sight. Let me share another original story, this one about reading the eyes in a context of great consequence. It is called The Ambassador's Choice. 2 centuries ago, in a kingdom bordering vast deserts, an aging king had to choose a successor from his 2 nephews. The first, Prince Arjun, was a warrior of renowned skill and charismatic speech. The second, Prince Dev, was a quiet scholar who managed the kingdom's granaries. The king, nearing his end, devised a final test. He summoned both princes to the Hall of Ancestors at twilight, when the light was dim and uncertain. He gave them each an identical, sealed scroll. "These scrolls," said the king, "contain the name of my chosen heir, written by my own hand. But one scroll speaks truth. The other contains a lie. You may ask me one question each, here in this dim light, to help you decide which scroll to believe. But know this. I am weary, and my body may betray my words. Watch not just my lips, but the light in my eyes." Prince Arjun stepped forward first. Confident, he asked, "Uncle, if I were to hold the true scroll, what would the first word of the decree be?" The old king smiled weakly. "It would begin with your name, Arjun." As he spoke, the king's eyes, deep set and shadowed, seemed to dim further, as if retreating into their sockets. A subtle tension pinched the corners of his eyes. Prince Dev then stepped forward. He knelt before his uncle, not looking at the scrolls, but gazing softly into the king's face. He asked, "Uncle, in this moment, looking at me, what is your greatest hope for our people?" The old king's breath caught. He looked at Dev's earnest, calm face. Slowly, a tear gathered in the corner of his eye, catching the last flicker of torchlight. His eyes, which had been retreating, now seemed to soften and focus on Dev's own. "My hope," he whispered, his voice gaining strength, "is for a peace that is nourishing, like a full granary in winter. Not a peace won by the sword, but sustained by wise hands." Prince Arjun, hearing the king's first answer, immediately grabbed the scroll from the right-hand pedestal, certain of his victory. Prince Dev, after a long moment of holding his uncle's tearful gaze, took the left-hand scroll. When opened, Arjun's scroll declared him heir, but the royal seal was smudged, a known mark of a forgery. Dev's scroll was blank, save for a single line in the center, written in the king's trembling hand, "The true heir is the one who sought not the prize, but the heart of the king. He who sees the tear sees the truth. Rule with that sight." The king had not tested their wits with a riddle. He had tested their capacity for perceptive compassion. Arjun had looked for confirmation of his desire. Dev had looked into his uncle's eyes and seen the weariness, the love, the unspoken hope, and, crucially, the tear of authentic feeling. He had read the silent language of the eyes in the dim light and chosen accordingly. The eye, when its gaze is met with true presence, cannot hide the heart's sincere weather. Shall we continue to explore the next silent language? From the luminous depth of the eyes, we expand our view to the broader landscape of expression, the face. The human face is a living tapestry, woven in the moment from threads of thought, feeling, and impulse. To read a face is to appreciate a fleeting truth. The Buddhist teaching on impermanence is vividly displayed here. Each expression arises, lingers for a heartbeat, and passes away, replaced by another. Our practice is not to freeze these moments in judgment, but to witness their flow with compassionate clarity. The face can offer a curated portrait, but its micro-expressions, the subtle, involuntary flickers, often reveal the unedited manuscript of the soul. Consider the mouth, the gateway of speech that holds profound silence. Lips pressed into a thin, taut line often form a sealed door. They may indicate resolve, disagreement, or a determined withholding. It is a gesture of containment. Conversely, lips that are slightly parted, soft and relaxed, form an open gate. They suggest a mind at ease, receptive, breathing in the moment. And then there is the universe contained within a smile. The social smile is a polite upturn of the corners, a gesture of courtesy. But the true smile, the one that begins in the heart and floods the entire being, is unmistakable. It engages not just the mouth, but crinkles the corners of the eyes into radiant fans of lines, lifts the apples of the cheeks, and seems to emanate a gentle light. This is the smile of genuine joy or warmth, a smile that cannot be willed into existence by the face alone. It is commanded by the spirit. I remember an old gardener who tended the moss gardens behind the temple. He was a man of few words, his face a map of sun-weathered lines that seemed set in a permanent, neutral expression. One spring, a rare white lotus bloomed in the central pond, an event that happened only once every decade or so. I was present when he discovered it at dawn. He stood at the water's edge, and as the first light touched the perfect, glowing petals, a transformation occurred. That neutral, lined face softened, then blossomed into a smile so deep and true it seemed to rearrange every feature. His eyes vanished into joyful crescents, his cheeks rounded, and even his ears seemed to lift. It was a smile of pure, unadulterated awe, not for an audience, but for the flower itself. In that moment, the gardener's essential self was revealed, not a quiet laborer, but a devoted witness to miracles of growth. That heart smile taught me more about his character than a year of conversations ever could. The forehead and the space between the brows are the scrolls of cognition and concern. Vertical furrows between the brows, as we've noted, speak of concentration or worry. But horizontal lines rippling across the forehead are the waves from a cast stone of surprise, doubt, or grappling with a new, complex idea. I recall a university professor who visited, a skeptic of meditation. During a discussion on the nature of mind, he listened with polite skepticism, his words carefully chosen. But his forehead was a fascinating canvas. As concepts of emptiness and non-self were discussed, fine horizontal lines would appear, shift, and dance across his brow. A silent, physical record of his internal intellectual struggle. He was not resisting. His very physiology was engaging deeply, wrestling with the ideas on a level his polite words did not convey. Seeing this, I knew to speak slowly, to leave spacious silence between concepts, allowing his internal process the room it demanded. The face, in its totality, is a symphony of fleeting movements. A nostril may flare briefly with suppressed emotion. A jaw may clench almost imperceptibly. A single cheek muscle may twitch. To read the face, you cannot stare aggressively, which will only cause it to mask itself. You must soften your own gaze, taking in the whole picture from your anchored place of calm, allowing the information to come to you. It is a practice of receptive observation, not aggressive scrutiny. Let me share an original story about the silent language of the face in a tale of diplomacy and hidden feeling. This story is called The Weaver's Diplomacy. In a land where two rival clans, the falcon and the wolf, were locked in a generations-old feud over a fertile valley, a fragile truce was negotiated. The final treaty signing was to be held in a neutral village, presided over by a revered but blind elder weaver named Alia, known for her wisdom. The leaders of both clans, hardened men with proud, scarred faces, sat at a heavy oak table. The air was thick with unspoken grievances. The scribe read the terms aloud. When he reached the clause concerning the shared irrigation of the valley, Chieftain Kale of the Falcon stiffened. His face, previously a stern mask, underwent a subtle change. His lips, which had been in a neutral line, pressed together so tightly they turned white. A tiny muscle in his jaw began to pulse, like a trapped heartbeat. He said nothing. Chieftain Rohan of the Wolves, watching his rival, allowed a faint, cold smirk to touch one corner of his mouth. A sign of perceived advantage, a spark of contempt. The blind weaver, Alia, though she could not see, sat perfectly still, her head tilted as if listening to more than the words. After the reading, there was silence. Alia then spoke, her voice like rustling silk. The treaty is fair in words. But the loom on which we must weave this peace feels uneven. The tension is wrong. She turned her sightless face toward Kale. Chieftain of the Falcons, the silence from your side of the table is heavy. It has a taste. Is it the taste of stone? Kale, startled, cleared his throat. The terms are acceptable, he said, his voice strained. Your voice says, acceptable, Alia replied gently. But the air around you tightens when water is mentioned. I feel it. Before we bind ourselves with ink, will you share the stone in your throat? For a stone in the foundation will crack the finest wall. Pressed by her perceptive calm, Kale finally revealed the unspoken truth. The proposed water-sharing schedule would, due to an ancient and overlooked geography, leave a sacred falcon burial ground dry for the crucial autumn rites. It was not greed, but piety and ancestral honor that choked him. Rohan, the wolf chieftain, listened. The contemptuous smirk faded from his face. In its place came a slow dawning of understanding, then a faint shadow of shame for his earlier smugness. His own face softened. Alia, sensing the shift in the room's energy, proposed a minor, compassionate adjustment to the rotation schedule. Rohan, to everyone's surprise, agreed immediately. The treaty was signed, and it held for generations. Afterward, a young apprentice asked Alia how she, blind, had known of Kale's hidden conflict. She smiled. I do not need eyes to see a man's face. I listen to his silence. I feel the temperature of his pride, and the weight of his unsaid words in the air. A clenched jaw sends vibrations through the wood of the table. A held breath changes the sound of the room. The face speaks in many frequencies. Most people listen only to the loudest one, the mouth. I have learned to listen to the quieter ones. Alia perceived the facial and somatic symphony from a place of profound stillness and multisensory awareness. She listened with her whole being, teaching us that, reading someone often means sensing the holistic energy of their presence, where the face is but one powerful instrument. Shall we move deeper, from the expressive peaks of the face down to the grounded, often more honest, language of the body? Now we descend from the expressive theater of the face to the grounded, often more honest, language of the body and hands. If the face is the curated portrait a person offers to the world, the body is the unfiltered biography. It speaks of habits formed over years, of tensions held in the muscles, of truths the mind has forgotten but the flesh remembers. The Buddha placed great emphasis on mindfulness of the body, for it is always in the present tense. It cannot lie about where it is right now, and in its postures and motions, it tells the story of where the mind has been. Posture is the body's opening statement. A person seated or standing with an erect yet relaxed spine, shoulders open but not thrust back, presents a posture of balanced readiness. There is a quiet confidence, an embodied presence. Conversely, a slumped posture, shoulders curled forward, spine in a gentle C-shape, often speaks of defeat, weariness, or a desire to make oneself smaller, to hide from view. But we must read with wisdom, not dogma. A slumped posture may also belong to a scholar who has spent a lifetime bent over sacred texts, her posture a testament not to defeat but to devoted inquiry. The body's language is written in chapters, not single words. The arms and hands are the body's most animated storytellers. Crossed arms are famously cited as a wall, and often they are. A gesture of defensiveness, self-protection, or disagreement. But I have also seen people cross their arms in deep contemplation, or simply because the evening grew chill. The key, as always, is change. If someone has been speaking with open, flowing gestures and suddenly folds their arms tightly across their chest as a particular topic arises, that is a significant punctuation mark in the silent dialogue. It is the sudden building of a fortress. Hand gestures paint invisible pictures in the air. Broad, open palm gestures often accompany expansive thinking, generosity of explanation, or a lack of hidden intent. Precise, steepled fingers can indicate meticulous thought or a subtle sense of superiority. But the most telling are the micro-gestures, the ones the mind does not choreograph. The hand that flutters to the throat to touch a necklace, a self-soothing connection to a memory or a loved one. The fingers that unconsciously pick at a cuff or a thread, unraveling a strand of inner anxiety. The tapping of a single finger, a metronome of impatience or pent-up energy. I learned a profound lesson about hands from a master calligrapher who visited the temple. He had come for silence. For days, he would sit by the inkstone, not writing, just sitting. His body was still, but his hands were never still. When he thought no one observed, his fingers would trace intricate characters in the air, on his knee, in the dust beside him. They practiced their art ceaselessly, a silent, kinetic prayer. It was not anxiety, it was essence in motion. His hands were speaking the language of his life's devotion even in rest. One morning, I placed a sheet of precious rice paper and a freshly mixed pot of ink before him without a word. He looked at me, and for the first time, a calm, knowing smile touched his lips. His hands finally met their true companions, and the silent dance became visible, leaving trails of breathtaking beauty on the page. His hands had told me who he was long before he ever spoke his name. Feet and legs, our foundations, are profoundly honest. The direction of the feet often points to true interest. If a person's torso faces you politely in conversation, but their feet are angled toward the door, a part of them is already planning their departure. A rhythmically tapping foot is a drumbeat of impatience, anxiety, or restless energy. Even the simple, weight-shifting dance from one foot to the other can signal an internal shift in stance within an argument or a difficult decision. Let me share an original story about the wisdom embedded in the body's language. This is the tale of the potter's judgment. In a bustling town, a wealthy merchant's prized antique vase was shattered. Two house servants, a young, nervous maid named Lena and an older, stoic butler named Goran, were in the room at the time. Both claimed innocence, blaming a mysterious draft that toppled a curtain, which then struck the table. The merchant, furious, brought them before the town's magistrate, known for his harsh rulings. However, on that day, the magistrate was ill, and his place was taken by his aunt, a retired potter named Ilara, known for her calm hands and keen eyes. Ilara did not sit at the high bench. She asked for the fragments of the vase to be brought and laid on a low table. She then asked Lena and Goran to sit on cushions on the floor beside it. She herself sat with them, her movements slow and deliberate. "Do not speak yet," she said. Just look at the pieces. She watched them. Lena, the maid, stared at the fragments with wide, terrified eyes. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap, but her feet were tucked far underneath her, as if trying to disappear. Her shoulders were hunched, her entire body coiled inward like a frightened creature. Goran, the butler, sat straight-backed, his face impassive. He looked at the pieces with an almost clinical detachment. But Alara's eyes were drawn to his hands. They rested on his knees, but the fingers of his right hand were slowly, rhythmically tracing the pattern of the woven mat beneath him, a pattern of interlocking circles, over and over. After a long silence, Alara spoke softly to Lena. "Child, when you entered the room and saw the vase broken, what was the first thing you felt in your body?" Lena, trembling, whispered, "My heart, it jumped into my throat. My stomach felt sick." Her hand fluttered to her throat as she said it. Alara then turned to Goran. "And you, Goran? What was the first sensation in your body?" Goran cleared his throat. "A surprise, madam. Then a regret for the loss." His voice was even, but his tracing fingers never stopped their circular path. Alara nodded. She picked up two key fragments. "This vase," she said, "did not fall from a curtain blow. The breaks are clean, radial. It was struck, sharply, near its base. The point of impact is here." She pointed to a specific flaw in the glaze. The strike was delivered by something small and hard, with a swift, direct motion. She looked at Lena's tucked-in feet and coiled posture, the body of someone who wished to vanish, not strike. She looked at Goran's tracing fingers, the repetitive, circular motion of someone soothing a nagging thought, working through a problem, or masking a nervous habit. "Goran," she said, her voice still gentle but firm. "Your hands are restless. They move in circles, around and around. Is there a thought you are turning over and over? Perhaps the thought of how a vase you accidentally bumped with the silver tray you were carrying could be explained as a draft." Goran's tracing fingers froze. His impassive face finally cracked, revealing a flash of shock, then profound weariness. He slumped, the straight back collapsing. He confessed. He had been carrying a heavy silver tea service, turned too quickly, and the corner of the tray had caught the vase. In panic, he'd concocted the story of the curtain. Alara's judgment was wise. Goran would work to repay the vase's value through extra service. Lena was exonerated. The merchant, astonished, asked Alara how she knew. She replied, "The maid's body spoke of fear and shock, the receiver of bad news. The butler's body, particularly his hands, spoke of a mind engaged in the aftermath of an action, rehearsing a story. The body always knows, and it always tells." I simply learned to sit quietly and listen to what it was saying. This story illustrates that the body's language is not about good or evil, but about action and reaction, about the physical imprint of experience. By observing from a place of non-judgmental calm, we can discern the subtle differences between the body of a witness and the body of an actor, between the posture of fear and the posture of guilt. Shall we continue to weave these threads together with another perspective? Now we venture beyond the individual signals of eyes, face, and body, into a deeper, more holistic layer of understanding, the language of context and pattern. This is a profoundly Buddhist approach, rooted in the principle of praditya samutpada, dependent origination. Nothing exists in isolation. Every person, every gesture, exists within a web of causes, conditions, and habitual patterns. To truly understand someone's present moment, you must softly perceive the context that holds them and the patterns they repeat. This is not about judging their past, but about comprehending the landscape of their mind as it has been shaped over time. A person who is consistently late is not just displaying poor time management in the moment. Their actions speak of a habitual relationship with time, perhaps one of overwhelm, a subconscious devaluation of others' schedules, or a perpetual optimism about what can be accomplished in a given span. A person who always sits in the corner of a room is not just choosing a seat, they are revealing a long-standing pattern of either seeking safety in observation or discomfort with centrality. The Buddha taught that we are shaped by our volitional actions. These actions become habits, and these habits become character. By calmly observing the patterns of a person's actions, how they respond to a minor inconvenience, how they treat those they perceive as having less power, what they consistently choose to talk about or avoid, you gain insight into the very architecture of their heart and mind. Let me share an original story that illustrates reading through context and pattern. This is the tale of the librarian's map. In a great city's ancient library, there was a head librarian named Silas. The library was vast, a labyrinth of shelves holding the world's knowledge. Yet, precious manuscripts had begun to disappear. No forced locks, no broken windows. The library's board, in a panic, hired a famous detective, a man who relied on fingerprints and interrogation. He questioned the staff vigorously, his manner sharp and suspecting. He found nothing but resentment and fear. In despair, Silas went to his retired predecessor, an elderly woman named Elara who lived in a small cottage filled with books and cats. He explained the crisis. Elara listened, sipping her tea. She asked no questions about suspects. Instead, she asked, which manuscripts? Not their titles, but their subjects. And where, precisely, were they kept? Not the section, but the distance from the window, the height of the shelf, the feel of the air around them. Puzzled, Silas provided meticulous details, a treatise on celestial navigation from the age of sail, a folio of medicinal herbs from a remote mountain region, a set of engineering sketches for ancient water mills. All from different, secluded corners of the library. Elara closed her eyes. Forget the thief, she said. Think of the reader. Who is this person, revealed by the map of their taking? They seek knowledge of finding one's way across trackless realms, of healing with what the earth provides, of harnessing natural power with simple elegance. This is not a thief for profit. This is a seeker. And a desperate one. They take, not to own, but to use. Where in this city might such knowledge be urgently applied? Silas, thinking with this new map, had a revelation. The city's northern district, a forgotten warren of narrow streets and crumbling tenements, had recently suffered a catastrophic fire, leaving many homeless and the community's old wells contaminated. A community organizer, a quiet man named Leo, had been tirelessly but unsuccessfully petitioning the city for aid. Silas and Elara went to the district, not as accusers, but as visitors. They found Leo in a makeshift community shed, surrounded by displaced families. And there, on a rough wooden table, were the stolen manuscripts, open to specific pages. He was cross-referencing the herbal folio for water-purifying mosses, the engineering sketches for simple pump designs, and the navigation text for its sections on finding clean water sources by observing bird migrations and star patterns. He looked up, not with guilt, but with a weary defiance. "They were gathering dust," he said. "We are drowning." Elara stepped forward. She placed a gentle hand on the open navigation text. "You read the stars to find water for the thirsty," she said. "This is a noble reading. But you took the map without asking the mapmaker. You closed a path others might need." The context, the district's disaster, Leo's role, the specific nature of the texts, revealed the pattern. It was not a pattern of theft, but of passionate, misguided appropriation born of urgent compassion. The solution was not punishment, but integration. Leo was offered a formal role in the library's community outreach, to use the knowledge openly to help his people. The manuscripts were returned, and copies were made for the district. The detective had looked for a criminal. Elara had looked for a pattern within a context, and found a human being in a specific kind of pain, acting from a specific, repeated drive to solve and to heal. This approach requires us to shift from asking, "What are they doing?" to, "In what world are they doing this? What recurring story does this action belong to?" It is a practice of compassionate topology, mapping the inner landscape by observing how a person habitually navigates the outer one. Now, let me share a personal anecdote about patterns. For many years, an elderly man would come to the temple every full moon. He would not meditate with the others. He would simply walk to the oldest pine tree in the courtyard, place his forehead against its bark for several long minutes, then leave. Month after month, year after year. To an observer seeing a single instance, it might seem odd, perhaps a sign of eccentricity or confusion. But observing the pattern, the lunar rhythm, the consistency, the specific tree, spoke a different story. I never asked him directly. One evening, as a fierce storm approached, I saw him arrive early. I brought him a cloak. As we stood under the eaves, he spoke without prompting. "My wife," he said, "she loved this tree. She said its roots were the deepest in the valley. On our wedding night, which was a full moon, we promised we would always find each other's strength, like this tree finds water. She's gone now. But on the full moon, I come to remember that promise. The tree remembers too." His patterned action was not a random gesture, it was a lifelong ritual of love and memory, a thread of continuity in a world of change. Seeing the pattern allowed me to understand the profound meaning within a single, simple act. To practice this, begin softly. In your interactions, gently notice not just what someone does, but the circumstances in which they do it repeatedly. What precedes their laughter? What consistently triggers a withdrawn look? What topic always makes them lean forward? You are not building a case, but drawing a compassionate portrait. You are learning to see the melody of their habits, not just the isolated notes of their moments. Shall we delve into another story that intertwines these principles? We come now to the art of listening to what is not said, the profound practice of reading the space between. In Buddhist teaching, the concept of emptiness, sunyata, is often misunderstood. It does not mean nothingness. It refers to the open, aware space from which all things arise and to which they return. In human communication, this is the silent field between words, the pause between breaths, the hesitation before action. It is in these spaces that truth often resides, unguarded and pure. To perceive it, your mind must become like that space, open, clear, and utterly still. When someone speaks, we are trained to listen to their words. But wisdom listens to the music around the words. A sentence that ends abruptly, cut off, a laugh that comes a moment too quickly. A sigh woven into an answer, these are the true punctuation of the heart. The Buddha taught mindful awareness of all phenomena, and these subtle phenomena of hesitation and silence are as significant as shouted declarations. I learned this not from a grand lesson, but from a humble interaction. Each morning, an elderly woman would come to the temple steps to sweep. She moved with a slow, pained grace. One morning, I brought her a cup of tea. As she took it, her hands trembling slightly, I said, "Your work keeps our entrance peaceful." She nodded, a small, tight smile on her lips. But then came the space. She held the cup, not drinking, looking past me at the dawn sky. The smile faded, leaving her face bare and tired. In that silent, unguarded moment, her eyes filled with a loneliness so deep it felt oceanic. She didn't speak it. She didn't need to. The space after my words had held a door open, and her truth had stepped quietly into the light. All I did was not rush to fill the silence. I simply stood with her in it. Finally, she sipped the tea and said, "The sweeping gives the day a rhythm. Without it, the hours are so long." Her words now made sense, colored by the silent truth that had preceded them. I had not read her mind, I had respectfully witnessed the quiet that her mind usually filled with motion. This practice requires a deliberate cultivation of pause within yourself. When you ask a question, let the answer land. Do not immediately react or follow up. Hold a gentle, open attention in the silence that follows. You will be amazed at what emerges in that fertile ground. People often speak to fill silence out of discomfort. When you provide a comfortable, accepting silence, they sometimes fill it with what is actually real. Let me share an original story about the power of the unspoken space. This is the tale of the cartographer of silence. In a kingdom plagued by subtle court intrigues, the old king had a unique advisor named Eris. Eris held no official title. He sat in on council meetings, diplomatic receptions, and private audiences. He rarely spoke. His role was to observe, but not the people, the silences. When the ambassador from the neighboring kingdom gave a flowery speech pledging eternal friendship, the council was pleased. Eris later noted to the king, he spoke of unbreakable bonds, but after that phrase, his hand tightened on his cup. He spoke of shared futures, but his eyes glanced at the map of our borderlands. The commitment was in the words. The doubt was in the pauses between them. The king, heeding this, was cautiously prepared when that friendship later showed cracks. The true test came when the king's own son, the prince, was accused of treason by a powerful duke. Evidence was presented, intercepted letters, witness accounts. The prince, passionate and defiant, proclaimed his innocence, his words fiery and convincing. The court was divided. The king, heartbroken, turned to Eris after a furious council session. "What did you hear?" he asked. Eris spoke softly. "I heard the prince's anger. But I also heard, after he denied the central charge, a space of silence you could swim in. In that space, he did not look at his accuser. He looked at the floor. And his feet, your majesty, turned inward, like a child's. The Duke, however, after laying out his evidence, could not stop speaking. He filled every possible silence with more detail, more outrage. His pauses were not for breath, but for effect. Eris continued. The prince's silence held shame. The Duke's silence held performance. I do not know about letters or witnesses. But I know the prince is hiding a pain that is not treason, and the Duke is hiding a motive that is not justice. Guided by this reading of the unsaid, the king ordered a quieter, deeper investigation. It was discovered the prince was indeed hiding something, a secret, forbidden love affair with a scholar from a lower class, which he feared would be used against him and his beloved. The Duke, exploiting this secret, had fabricated the treason plot to discredit the prince and advance his own line. The prince's silent shame was for his deception about love, not treason. The Duke's garrulous performance was to cover a lie. By attending to the quality of the silence each man carried, Eris had discerned the hidden emotional truths beneath the dramatic accusations. The space between is where the unsorted self resides. In your own life, begin to notice these spaces. Notice what someone does when they finish speaking but you haven't replied yet. Do they look at you expectantly, or do their eyes drift away, as if already leaving the conversation? Do they take a deep, releasing breath, or a shallow, tight one? These are the whispers of the inner world. This practice is the deepest form of respect. You are not interrogating, you are offering a sanctuary of attentive quiet where a person's unvoiced truth may feel safe enough to appear. It is in these silent understandings that the most profound human connections are forged, beyond the limitations of language. We now turn to a principle that is the bedrock of all genuine understanding, yet often the most overlooked, the practice of reading yourself. The Buddha's path begins with self-observation. Before you can accurately perceive the storms in another, you must become intimately familiar with the weather patterns of your own mind. Your biases, your triggers, your hopes, and your fears are like colored lenses through which you view everyone else. If you are angry, you will see defiance where there is only fear. If you are insecure, you will see judgment where there is none. The first and most important person whose mind you must learn to read is your own. This is not about self-absorption, but about self-clarity. It is the practice of vipassana, insight meditation. By calmly observing the rise and fall of thoughts, feelings, and sensations within your own body, you learn their impermanent, conditioned nature. You see that a feeling of irritation is just that, a temporary constellation of mental and physical events, not the absolute truth of a situation. This inner disentanglement allows you to encounter others without immediately projecting your own story onto them. Your calm self-awareness becomes the clean mirror, not the distorting lens. I learned this through a painful mistake. Years ago, a new monk arrived at the temple. He was meticulous, quiet, and kept to a strict, self-imposed schedule. My own nature was more fluid, adaptive to the needs of the moment. I perceived his rigidity as coldness, his quietness as aloof superiority. Every interaction felt like a slight. I read his minimal words as criticism, his disciplined routine as a silent rebuke of our community's ways. My mind, clouded by my own insecurity about being undisciplined, wrote a whole story about his disdain. One evening, during a shared chore, I snapped at him over a trivial mismatch in our methods. He looked at me, startled, and then his shoulders slumped. In a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "I am sorry. Social interaction is difficult for me. I follow rules because without them, my mind becomes a formless ocean of anxiety. I am not judging you. I am clinging to a raft." In that moment, the colored lens shattered. I was not seeing him. I was seeing my own insecurity reflected back at me, dressed in his form. His behavior was not a commentary on me, it was the manifestation of his own inner struggle. My failure to read my own mind, to see my irritation as my own, not his creation, had blinded me to his reality. It was a humbling lesson in the absolute necessity of inner clarity. Therefore, the foundational training in reading others is a daily returning to the self. Sit quietly. Notice the thoughts that pass. Label them gently, planning, remembering, worrying. Feel the sensations in the body without judgment, tension in the shoulders, fluttering in the stomach. This practice does not eliminate your inner life. It allows you to know it so well that it no longer controls your perceptions. You can have a feeling without becoming the feeling. From this place of inner spaciousness, you can look upon another person and see them, not a character in your own unresolved drama. Let me share an original story that illustrates the danger of unread self and the power of self-awareness. This is the tale of the judge and the reflection pool. In a city renowned for its justice, a chief judge named Kaido was famous for his piercing verdicts. He prided himself on reading the guilt or innocence in a person's eyes, their posture, their voice. He was seldom wrong, or so he believed. A series of troubling thefts plagued the city's marketplace. Not of goods, but of small, sentimental items, a merchant's late wife's hairpin, a baker's first silver coin, a tailor's measuring tape from his father. The city guard, under pressure, apprehended a likely suspect, a lone, ragged man named Jean found sleeping near the market, clutching a small, nondescript cloth bag. Brought before Kaido, Jean was terrified, stammering, unable to give a straight account of his whereabouts. His eyes darted, his hands shook. To Kaido, trained to see signs of deception, the man was a portrait of guilt. The bag was opened. It contained not the stolen items, but a collection of smooth river stones, a broken bird's egg, and a faded sketch of a woman. Trinkets of a thief, Kaido declared, his mind already moving to sentencing. But as he prepared to speak the verdict, he made a rare, personal connection. The sketch, it reminded him of his own mother, lost long ago. A sudden, unexpected wave of grief, long buried under his robes of authority, washed over him. It was so powerful it made him pause. In that pause, he felt his own heart racing, his own breath shallow. He was reacting, not judging. Confused by his own emotion, he ordered a recess. He went to the palace's reflection pool, a place of quiet. He stared at his own stern face in the water. Why does this beggar's sketch unsettle me so? He asked himself not about the case, but about his own reaction. He realized the man's terrified eyes mirrored not guilt, but the raw fear of a powerless person being crushed by a system. The shaking hands spoke of cold and hunger, not culpability. Kaido had been reading the signs, but through the filter of his own pride in being a reader of men. His own unacknowledged grief had, for a moment, pierced that pride, creating a crack of doubt. He returned to the court. Instead of pronouncing judgment, he did something unprecedented. He stepped down from the bench and sat on the floor before the terrified Jean. "Tell me," he said, his voice uncharacteristically soft, "about the woman in the sketch." Jean, disarmed by the change, began to weep. The woman was his sister, lost in a flood. The stones were from the river where she disappeared. The egg was from the first bird that nested by his makeshift shelter, a sign of life continuing. Kaito, now listening from a place stripped of his judge persona, heard the story of a man hollowed by loss, clinging to fragments of memory, not a thief stealing sentimental objects from others. The true thief was caught days later, a collector with a perverse fascination for others' emotional artifacts. Kaito's moment of self-reading, his recognition of his own projected grief and pride, had stopped a terrible miscarriage of justice. He learned that the most crucial evidence in any trial is the contents of the judge's own heart, and that must be examined first, with ruthless compassion. Your inner world is the primary text. Master that language first. The understanding of others will then flow from a source of clarity, not confusion. Begin tonight. Spend 5 minutes in simple self-observation. Watch your breath. Notice the thoughts that come. Don't follow them. Just note, thinking. This is the training of your most important instrument, your own aware presence. Shall we move to another story that weaves together inner and outer perception? As we near the culmination of our journey, let us integrate all we have explored into a single, flowing practice. Understanding another is not a sequence of techniques, but a state of being, a compassionate, present, and receptive awareness. It is the embodiment of the Buddhist principle of karuna, or compassion, which sees the other not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a living experience to be met. We have navigated the languages of the eyes, the face, the body, the context, the silence, and the self. Now, we allow these streams to merge into one river of perceptive wisdom. Imagine your awareness as a gentle, diffuse light, not a focused spotlight. You are not scanning for clues. You are resting in open presence, allowing the totality of the person, their words, their posture, the tone of their voice, the rhythm of their breath, the feeling in the space around them, to softly impress itself upon you. From your own calm center, you can perceive the harmony or dissonance within their expression. Does their smile match the energy in their eyes? Do their confident words align with the slight tremor in their hands? Is their story consistent with the subtle sadness that lingers in the pauses? You are listening to the whole symphony, not just the violin section. This is not a practice of doubt, but of deeper connection. You are not looking for lies, you are looking for the full, complex, and often contradictory truth of being human. Sometimes the truth is that a person is trying to be brave while feeling scared, or offering kindness while feeling depleted. By perceiving this wholeness, you can respond to the deeper need, not just the surface statement. I will share a final, original story that embodies this integrated way of seeing. It is called The Healer's Hands. In a remote mountain village, there was a healer named Anya. She was known not for miraculous cures, but for an uncanny ability to know exactly what ailed a person, often before they spoke. People said she could see into the body. A skeptical young physician from the city, Dr. Eli, traveled to observe her, convinced there was trickery. He watched as she received patients. She did not immediately ask for symptoms. She would greet them, offer tea, and sit with them in silence for a few moments, her hands resting loosely in her lap, her gaze soft. Then, she might ask a simple, seemingly unrelated question. How is the light in your home in the morning? Or, do the crows still gather in the old pine by the river? To Eli, it was nonsense. But he began to notice patterns. The woman who complained of a tight chest and spoke of the crows no longer gathering also had shoulders permanently hunched, as if waiting for a blow. Anya prescribed a daily walk to the pine tree to simply sit, and a tea for easing breath. The man with crippling stomach pain, who sharply described the harsh morning light in his workshop, held his body rigid, his jaw clenched. Anya suggested he rearrange his workspace so the light fell indirectly, and gave him a bitter tea and a gentle abdominal massage. Eli, frustrated, confronted her. This is not medicine. You are asking about birds and light and giving vague advice. Anya smiled. I am asking about their world. The body does not live in a jar. It lives in a life. The woman's chest is tight because her heart is in mourning for a lost ritual, the daily sight of the crows that connected her to her childhood. Her grief has no outlet, so it sits on her lungs. The man's gut is in knots because he works all day in an aggressive, glaring light that keeps his nervous system in a state of siege. His body is braced for attack. I am not treating the lung or the stomach alone. I am treating the person who lives in a landscape that is hurting them. She invited Eli to sit with the next patient, a young boy who wouldn't speak and had terrible fits of coughing. Do not diagnose, she said. Just be present. The boy's mother did the talking, her words fast and anxious. The boy sat, curled in on himself, picking at his fingernails. Eli watched, trying to apply his clinical mind. Then, he remembered Anya's way. He softened his gaze. He noticed the boy's eyes darting to the window every time his mother mentioned school. He saw how the cough seemed to arise not from his chest, but as a dry, tight sound from his throat, always when the mother's voice reached a certain pitch. He felt the room's atmosphere, a thick soup of maternal worry and childish helplessness. When the mother finished, Anya was quiet. Eli, surprising himself, spoke softly to the boy, not about coughs, but about the view from the window. The boy, startled into contact, whispered, "The sparrows are fighting over the feeder." Anya nodded. A lot of competition for food, she mused. To the mother, she said, he needs a task that gives him air and a little quiet. Could he be in charge of keeping the bird feeder full? A quiet task, alone, each morning before school. She also gave a simple honey infusion for the throat. Weeks later, the boy's cough had vanished. His mother reported he was speaking more, too. Eli understood. Anya was reading the integrated field, the boy's body language, withdrawn, the trigger, anxious talk of school, the somatic symptom, a throat cough of constriction. And the context, a competitive home atmosphere mirrored by the sparrows. She didn't attack the cough. She changed the boy's relationship to his environment, giving him a small domain of quiet control and purpose. She had healed by understanding the complete picture. This is our goal. To become like Anya. To sit with another person, with our own minds quiet, and to perceive the integrated truth of their being, the physical, emotional, and contextual strands all woven together. From that understanding, our response, whether a word, a gesture, or silent companionship, becomes truly helpful, truly kind. Now, let us close with a gentle, guided integration. A practice to bring all this together in your daily life. Make yourself comfortable. Let your awareness settle inward. Feel your breath, natural and easy. With each exhale, release any effort to do or figure out. With each inhale, draw in a sense of open, receptive calm. Now, bring to mind someone you will see today, or someone you care about. Picture them. As you hold them in your mind's eye, practice this integrated awareness. First, ensure your own mirror is clean. Notice any feelings or thoughts you have about this person. Gently set them aside, like placing a book on a shelf. You can return to them later. For now, simply be present. Now, from this clear space, envision them. Notice, with soft attention, their general posture. The set of their shoulders. The tilt of their head. See their face. Notice the expression around their eyes. Is it bright, tired, guarded, soft? Imagine them speaking to you about something ordinary. Hear not just their words, but the tone. The pace. Are there pauses? Where do their hands go? Now, imagine the context of their life right now. What might be weighing on them? What might be bringing them joy? Don't analyze, just let the context be part of the picture. Finally, feel the space between you. Is it warm, cool, tense, easy? Just sense it. Hold this whole, integrated impression, their body, face, energy, context, in your compassionate awareness. Do not judge it. Do not fix it. Simply understand it. Send a silent wish for their well-being from this place of deeper seeing. Now, gently release the image. Return to your breath. Feel the calm, perceptive power of your own presence. This is the essence of understanding. You are not acquiring a tool. You are cultivating a way of being, awake, compassionate, and deeply connected to the living moment. Carry this integrated awareness with you. Let it inform your interactions with gentle wisdom. See the eyes, hear the silence, feel the context, and always, always tend to the garden of your own mind first. Thank you for walking this long, peaceful path with me at Monk's Moon Temple. May the clarity you've cultivated here illuminate your path and all those you meet upon it. Walk gently. See deeply. Be at peace.